Imagine waking up one day and discovering that right in the middle of one of the most empty, remote, and scorching places on Earth, a multi-billion-dollar metropolis is quietly being built. I mean, there are no grand global press conferences, and you're hardly seeing any major headlines about it. Just endless construction crews, massive satellite dishes, and billions upon billions of dollars quietly pouring into the Australian Outback. It's an absolutely massive undertaking, designed to handle massive compute loads, and honestly, almost nobody's talking about it. But here is the most fascinating and perhaps slightly unsettling part of this whole development. This city, it isn't being built for people to live in. Well, not in the traditional sense anyway. What is actually rising out there in the red dirt is being constructed entirely for machines to think in. It is literally a metropolis whose sole purpose is to process the massive parallel computations that modern AI demands. Which brings us to the ultimate question we are answering in today's Explainer. Why is the world's tech industry quietly moving to the Australian Outback? Why on earth are the biggest tech giants on the planet pouring unimaginable resources into this vast, empty landscape just to build the backbone of AI computation for the entire Asia-Pacific region? To understand that, let's dive into Section 1, the global AI power crisis. We're running out of space and energy. You see, every major power on Earth right now understands that whoever controls the most advanced AI infrastructure is going to hold an enormous economic and diplomatic advantage for decades to come. But running these modern AI systems requires absolutely staggering amounts of electricity. Just training a single frontier foundation model can use as much electricity as thousands of homes use in an entire year. Thousands. And as these systems get more and more complex, well, that power requirement is strictly going in one direction, up. And this is exactly why traditional tech hubs in America, Europe, and Asia are hitting a brick wall. Their power grids are totally maxed out, and cooling resources are becoming incredibly scarce. Plus, real estate costs are just through the roof. To scale up, AI desperately needs massive, uninterrupted electricity alongside cheap, boundless land. So the old approach of building server farms in major urban centers, it simply cannot scale fast enough anymore. Which leads us perfectly into Section 2. Why the Australian Outback? It's basically the Goldilocks zone for AI. Australia offers this unmatched trifecta that completely solves the global AI power crisis. First up, space. There is essentially unlimited land available at a fraction of the cost you'd find anywhere else. Second, solar energy. The Australian Outback receives some of the highest solar irradiance of any place on the planet. That allows operators to power city-scale computing with clean, intense, and super reliable energy. And third, geopolitical stability. Australia is a stable democracy with a secure rule of law. In a world where data sovereignty is absolutely critical, knowing your multi-billion-dollar compute clusters are in a trusted, secure location is worth an enormous premium. All right, let's look at Section 3, building the machine city, specifically the Roxby Downs project. So, actual physical infrastructure is emerging right now, particularly in a remote stretch of South Australia near the old mining town of Roxby Downs. And at the very core of this new machine city are hyperscale data centers. Now, these aren't your typical server racks. We're talking about hyperscale facilities the size of multiple football fields, custom engineered with advanced liquid cooling and high-density power delivery. They are built specifically to train autonomous decision-making platforms and run tens of thousands of GPUs continuously without breaking a sweat. But here's the thing. A hyperscale center doesn't just operate in a vacuum, right? It requires an entirely new ecosystem to support it. Massive solar farms covering hundreds of square kilometers and unprecedented battery storage facilities form the power layer. Then you've got high-capacity fiber optics connecting the desert all the way to coastal cities and even under the sea to Asia and North America. And physically supporting the whole shebang are private road networks, water treatment facilities, and housing for the engineers maintaining the grid. Add all of these together, and it transforms from a mere industrial installation into a fully functional city. And the players building this? It's a totally unexpected alliance. American hyperscalers desperately need major AI infrastructure at the edge of the dynamic Indo-Pacific region to deliver low-latency services outside the reach of adversarial governments. And their partners in this? Domestic Australian mining companies. These miners have deep, proven expertise in managing remote logistics, extreme weather, and building industrial-scale facilities out where normal infrastructure doesn't even exist. It's two completely unrelated industries finding deep common ground in the middle of the desert. Now, as with any massive shift, we have to look at Section 4, hidden costs and controversies, the high-stakes trade-offs. In this explainer, we want to impartially examine the three core tensions actively being debated by all sides right now. First, Indigenous rights. Much of this development sits on the traditional lands of Indigenous Australian communities. The risk here is repeating historical mistakes, where consultation was poor, while the opportunity lies in structuring genuine agreements where benefits actually flow back to these communities. Second, ecological impact. The outback might look empty, but it's a fragile habitat for unique fauna like wedge-tailed eagles and thorny devils. Large-scale development definitely risks disrupting this delicate balance. And finally, economic extraction. Policymakers are hotly debating how to structure taxation and ownership to ensure this new AI boom doesn't simply result in wealth flowing right back out of the country. Let's zoom out a bit for Section 5, rewiring the global map, and look at the next strategic assets. Consider this historical analogy for a second. Just as the construction of railroads in the 19th century permanently reshaped the geography of economic power, the placement of AI infrastructure is doing the exact same thing right now. The countries and regions that secure these massive computing hubs today are locking in structural economic advantages that could persist for generations. Those who miss the window risk a deep long-term disadvantage. Because what we are seeing in the Australian outback is really just a preview. Remote, barren regions globally, places once considered economically marginal, are suddenly becoming the most strategic real estate on Earth. We are looking at future AI hubs emerging rapidly in the North African deserts, the American Southwest, the steppes of Central Asia, and the high plains of South America. The global map is literally and figuratively being rewired based on the physical needs of artificial intelligence. So I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to consider as the map of the global economy shifts beneath our feet. As the physical infrastructure of the AI age gets built into the landscape, which desert will become the next global superpower? Keep your eyes on the horizon, folks, because the future of computing isn't in Silicon Valley anymore. It's in the Outback.